welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard, John, an attack dog that wants me to not even mention that Justin guy, and the attack dog herself, Kiki. Right, Keeks? Oh, you slid! You slid! Do I have to, like, get your paws in my hands and then have you up here? Yeah, is that what I have to do? Is that what I have to do, giant dog? Hi, giant dog. Oh, you want to get down? No, are you good? You trying to eat my Fitbit? No, no noms. No noms. No noms. Silly dog. Hey, Quindy, take your allergy pill. Other than the fur in the air, mine are going crazy. Attack dog Kiki this morning, yeah. You gonna be a good girl? Yeah, you can stay in here if you're gonna be a good girl. All right. Pendrake, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. I thought John might decide to do it solo. I thought that might have been the... Because when everybody else is busy, but John can still give updates, right? So that makes sense. Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Just looking. Let's see what else I missed from everybody. Yeah, okay, going on. Yeah, I hope you feel better soon, Pendrake. That sucks when your body is dumb. I've been that. Hey, back up. Kiki's just being disruptive. If she keeps up being disruptive, I'll have to evict her, but I'm hoping that I won't. But yeah. So hey, oh, I've got something to show you. Hold on. Oh, wrong F key. There. Wrong F key, and let's hope we don't have a real F today. I have things for those who go to ReaperCon. Shiny. If you have bought my book or been gifted it and you come to get it signed at the con, you will get a ribbon. And look, there's new ones too. And if you didn't bring the book or you bought the ebook version, all you have to do is like pop open your Kindle and show me. Your Kindle app, I mean. But yeah, so there you go. Yay! So I have two ribbons, one for the first book, one for the second book, and they're pretty. I like them. I wanted to get two different blues, but I was really shocked that they didn't have a dark blue. Like, I wanted kind of a brighter turquoise and then the dark blue, but they didn't really have a real navy, and they didn't really have a light blue that wasn't an off blue, like a blue-gray. So I didn't get the colors that I would have wanted, but, you know, it'll do. Yeah, I mean, if you read it online, then did you, like, as long as you, like, if you read it on Kindle, like I said, you can always open your Kindle app and show me that it's in there. Yeah, you don't need a physical copy. You only need a physical copy if it was gifted to you and you want it signed. Like, then you can get a ribbon without even buying the book because somebody was nice and gave it to you. But yeah, Kiki's being a dork, so hold on. Out, gone. Out, damn spot. And yes, I just quoted Macbeth to kick my dog out of the room. But yeah, so there will be ribbons. There'll be con badge ribbons. Here we go, one more time. Ooh. First time I've ever ordered a ribbon for anything, by the way. Except for, actually, that's a lie. The Drow Nipple Pink ribbon, originally, was ordered. That was my first ribbon, I think. As I recall. I don't remember if I actually ordered those myself, though, or got Adrian to put them on the Reaper docket. Out, damned spot. From the Scottish play, y'all know. She's not really a spot, she's a sable, but still. Yeah, exactly. But yes. So, wait, there was other news. What other news was there? Dang it, now I'm forgetting all my news. I don't know. It'll come to me, right? Oh, yeah, I remember. So I went and looked up, off-lease, like, computers, business computers and stuff yesterday, and I found a site that enables me to get a laptop that is probably a generation better than the one I have for, like, anywhere from $200 to $500. So I'm super, super grateful to my cybersecurity buddy for telling me about that, because now I can go and order that and not have to pay $1,000+ Whew. But yeah, I kind of want to shop around to a couple other sites, but this back market site seems pretty reputable. It's highly rated and has reviews and ratings and customers actually interacting and things like that. So seems to be a thing. Also has essentially it seems to be a mid selling point for several official refurbishers and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I would love to get a new computer for $200 to $500. So today we're going to figure out, we're going to put plant life on this. We're also going to figure out if our eagle's going to work. If I bury it here. I also thought about making the beak broader and shorter, more stylized. I got Kiki fur all over the place, guys. Could also put it over here. If I take that chunk out. I kind of have to find the place that might work. I kind of have to find the place compositionally that works. I think that might work. Yeah, it's yeah, but you do the snow the last thing, Pendrake. The last thing you ever do is snow. Like, it's because you have to make it look like it's going around your other features, like that it's fallen on top of and around your other features. Pardon me while I slide in my beak and decide whether my beak will work. My beak shape. It's an armature. Still feel like that's too long, so I'm going to try to shave it. I don't know how far into it I put the wire, so it could be fraught with peril. But yeah, I didn't want to just go to Amazon. I mean, I guess I could have, but I thought actually going to a site might give me better options, and they have a pretty... And plus you never know who you're buying from on Amazon. I don't know. I mean, yeah. Sometimes... For something like this, though, I'm shaving down the beak, essentially, to make it shorter, guys. I'm going to essentially try to... All I need really is a projection. Oh, I think I ran into the wire right there. It's not going to let me get too short. I could trim up the back, though, so I think I'm going to do that. But yeah, I thought I'd rather buy from a dealer that could offer a guarantee. There's a 30-day guarantee on this, so if it starts blorfing out within the first 30 days, you can return it. Things like that. And I can't diss Amazon too much because obviously I depend on them for my book sales, but I don't have to believe that they're really trying to do anything for my benefit. All right, so we're going to try to cut off the back of this, thus giving us a much shorter beak. And when green is cured, as you can see, it's not hard to slice at all. Hold on, let me get up here. Let's get in focus. Let's get in the focus. There, more of a focus field there. So it's really easy to slice green with a hobby knife. That said, you never want to do this sort of thing if you're going to vulcanize this, if we're actually going to do a sculpt. Before, like, you never want to leave this area open if you're going to put something on mold, because essentially what happens with green is it gets this nice skin on the outside of it, and that helps protect it from all that heat and pressure. So if you were going to do a mod like this, then you would want to sculpt green completely over the part that you had opened up. Otherwise, you will have bad results when you attempt to put it on a mold. I am just going to try to keep carving away at this until I have it a bit shorter. There will be a point where I can't really go beyond. I'm not doing any book readings. I haven't even thought of that. Man, you guys, I'm not that big name yet. But yeah, I don't know. That feels kind of stressful to me, just right off the bat. So I'll have to think about it. Probably not this year, maybe next year. Next year I should have like 3 or 4 books out in this series. So then maybe. But I mean, might do one at one point. I used to do that all the time. I used to get up and do poetry reading and prose reading for forensics in high school and college. So I have experience with doing that sort of thing. Although not with my own fiction. It is a little bit more fraught, guys, when you're doing it with the book you wrote. Okay? Yeah, Bull. Derek could do it. Derek has done an audiobook, actually. He's I think he's done one of his friends' audiobooks. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Amazon has gotten flooded, right. And although Amazon does try to, like, clamp down on those, there are so many that I'm just not interested. Like, it didn't even cross, to give you an idea, Agent Marvel, it did not even cross my mind to even go to Amazon for that reason. So. Derek has a really good voice. I mean, Derek has done, he does acting, he does singing, he has done some, like I said, some voice acting with a friend of his audiobook. It can be fairly lucrative to do audiobooks, so it is definitely something I think a lot of good voice people look into if they do other kinds of things. All right, I'm going to chop off some of that wire, and then we are going to see how our beak looks then. Yeah, I don't know, though. I might be a little nervous about doing a reading on... It's just because it's your book, right? It's the thing that you wrote. You're not just interpreting somebody else's. You're not just reading a list of names for the award ceremony. It's your book. There's definitely a level of fraught there. There's definitely a level of terror that is personal. Because some people get so anxious about even publishing their book that they never hit the button. I see these people on my self-publish Reddit all the time. Oh, there we go. Much better. Much better. That's a much better beak. Much better scale. Much better scale. I can socket that in. We can do more green work over the top. Yeah, I like that. Okay, where's my glue? Where's my glue? Hey, Roger, how's it going? You probably would just have to ask him and then steal a book. I don't know. I'm gonna have, I don't know, guys. I'm trying so hard to figure out a way to have my new book for sale at the con, but I don't know how it's gonna go. Oh, hi, Ren. Sorry, my little pretty Ren is on the back fence. But I'm gonna try everything, but Amazon just does not expedite author copies. Like, if I ordered my book normally, I could, of course, get it in 2 days, but then I'd be ordering it and just reselling it for the same cost, right? So I want to order it at my cost, and that, they drag their feet on shipping. So I'm thinking about trying a couple of things, and we'll see how we can do. I mean, you would have to ask Derek. Derek would have to be actually listening to... Sometimes Derek does tune into this show, but I don't know. I would feel so self-conscious that I would, like, not even sit to listen to him read it. Like, I probably wouldn't be able to. There are degrees where I have to get, like, it's like dipping your toe in the public water. Like, being out on Twitch, that's fine. I'm comfortable with this. And in time, I probably would be comfortable with doing readings from my book. It's just I've never done it, and it's got that nerve-wracking feel to it. I mean, think about it. Think about it if you wrote something, and then people wanted you to read it up on stage in front of people. How would you feel? Seriously. Zachariah. Oh, Zachariah, I wanted to say thank you. I emailed you, I know, about your feedback. And I actually figured out a way to, without spoilers, I figured that the expectation might be wrong, and so without changing the scene that you brought up, if I can have the antagonist make it more plain that he doesn't consider the protagonist a threat, I think that should resolve the issue. Because the scene is the scene, and it's how it came in my head, and it really feels right to me, but at the same time, I totally see what you're saying about expectations. So I'm like, it's really useful feedback, and I took the whole night to think about it. So thank you for your feedback. So I'm just going to just that lets me just write a couple sentences, shift the expectation, and then it should be okay. Right, yeah, I mean it is, because it's putting your creative work out there for everybody to see, Bull. It's exactly the same anxiety. Yeah. I never, they always say that you shouldn't change anything in your book if only one person has a problem with it, and I feel that, but at the same time, if one person has a problem with it and the criticism is somewhat valid, I definitely want to, one, keep that kind of criticism in mind for the future, and two, if there's a way that I can just slide the scene a little bit, if I can shift it just a little bit to more be true and to kind of address some of that, then I will. Absolutely, right? And it's nice because I only have a few of you as like my beta reader ARC readers right now. So it's not like I'm getting pelted with 30 different things. Coffee shop. Actually, the book readings that I've been at that I really have enjoyed have been at have local bookstores, like private bookstores, I guess. What do you call them? Independent bookstores. We had a really good one in Madison, Wisconsin. That was a mystery and thriller genre bookstore called Booked for Murder. And I went there a couple times to hear some of my favorite authors read from their books. So let's do this. And I did bake the little eagle head here last time. So let us sock it in our beak. Sock it in the beak. And I'm going to press it down, let it sit there. A valid catch is a valid catch, but there's also often a disconnect, Pendrake, between, and the tip is a little bit crooked, but I can fix that. But there's also, as a writer, your idea that came to you, like it's true to you, right? It feels true. You would not have written that scene without it feeling true. And so you have to balance that inner truth of how your characters would act, and you have to figure out why there's a disconnect. And you have to figure out if there's a way to resolve that disconnect that works, right? That helps both sides, which takes a lot of thought and soul searching, and sometimes will take even like little tweaks earlier in the book, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. The internal consistency work is the hardest. And so even sometimes if something is a valid catch, I may not choose to change it. I may just put it in my head as, okay, in general, I need to remember not to do this again, but this scene still feels true to me, so I'm going to let it ride for now, especially if it's only one person that comes back with that. So, it's that kind of thing. That's why having more betas can be good, because then it lets you see if more people had a problem with it. But you do, as a creative, it's like when you're painting. You can paint something, and you guys have all probably had this happen, and one person says, I don't really like this part, or this color seems off to me, or why did you do this here, or why didn't you do X here, or Y, or Z instead of A? And the answer is, because it felt right to me, and I'm the artist, I'm the one who painted it. And that's absolutely freaking valid. It's a work of creativity. You do it how you freaking want to. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And I reserve that right as a writer. This is the story. If you disliked this part, I'm really sorry. I wish you'd liked it, but I can't control you. The only thing I can do is tell us the story in a way that feels true to me in the best way I can. And over time, it doesn't mean I'm ignoring your feedback. I will incorporate that kind of thing, especially if it's a general thing, like character motivations are just a little bit off here or there. That's something I can work on as a writer. That's how you get to be a better writer, right? And as a painter, maybe you're like, oh, that's really valid that you thought I should change A to Z. That's interesting. I almost wish I would have tried that. But then, you know what? You can take that and try it on a new mini. It doesn't mean you have to try it on the mini you've got. Does that make sense? Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I would love to own a bookstore. Yeah, why didn't you do freehand? Yeah, and that's like, because I didn't feel like freehand. If you want to buy the model and do freehand, Oh, Richard, also wanted to thank you. See, this is going to be my book thanking stream here while we wait for this beak to dry so that I can manipulate it a little more. Because from the top, it's not quite symmetrical, so I want to get that down before I start greening it over. Sweet. Sweet, Captain Winners, I'm glad. Yeah, I did not design those. I designed everything else. But since I left back in 2020, now we're on a new iteration where Rhonda or Ron is designing new colors. So, but yeah, Richard, I figured out, like, I read through the chapters and I really like thought about it, and I actually did end up swapping. I didn't move anything earlier. Like, it was chapter 34, 35, and 36 that were out of order. Once I swapped the order around on those chapters, I feel like it reads much better. So thank you. It took me a while, though. See, this is another thing to think about, is like, when you, if any of you become beta readers for me, if you ever want to, or advanced copy readers, which are kind of the same thing for a lot of authors, and I think might be the same for me. But I may not see it right away, or I may kind of go, okay, maybe. But then if you give me a few days to think about it, it's just I need thinking time. Like, I am not sometimes I can make the gut jump, but often if it's like really evaluating something deep like that in the book, I need to read through it and really feel my way through it. I need a lot of thinking time on those. Probably Rhonda's been doing a lot, Captain Winters, but I'm not sure if she did it. Ron has long been he will often, what he used to do with me at the end, toward the end of my career, because for the most in the paint department, I designed the colors and executed on them. But some of our stuff, like the Dungeon Dwellers line, Ron actually gave me either a description or a swatch to match. And so then the person in the paint department is just going to essentially work to match that swatch. And I think Rhonda did the Reaper. I know she did the Reaper kind of colors. I'm not sure if she's been involved on other color sets, but you want to be one of my betas, Kodiak, for the next book, for North of the Wind? If you do, drop me a mail, and I'll check my spam folder, because apparently my author mail is very vigilant about kicking stuff out. And you want to email Anne at aebeckerwrites, all one word, .com. There you are, right there. So Kodiak, make a note of this, and then write it, and then drop me a note, say I'd like to get on the list to be an advanced reader for the next book, and sure. The only thing is, like, I'll try to get it to you several weeks ahead of release, so you have at least a few weeks to read it, and then you get back to me, and yeah. And then I usually ask, if you can, if you feel like it, leave a review on day of publication. I'm trying to figure out some fun stuff to do for that, too. I'll be emailing everybody. But yeah, the more people I can have that will read it, give me some feedback, and then drop at least a short review on release day is like, it's gold. It's gold. All right. Yeah. I feel it, Dogfather. I feel it. I know there are many, I hardly have time to read sometimes these days, and I love to read. I have to really make time for it, or get it into my schedule, right? And lately, the only thing I've been reading is my own book. Snort. Although I did download a lot of books yesterday. I found somebody on the self-published Reddit who writes Australian. She's an Aussie, and she writes Australian-based urban fantasy. So I thought I would I've never actually read an urban fantasy set in Australia, so I thought I would check her out. And she's new, so I don't know. But she also needs reviews in the Americas, because Amazon doesn't like... Amazon reviews in the U.S. don't necessarily cross over to other sites, although they'll sometimes say, like, the best foreign reviews, for example. They'll sometimes have a section like that. But she's only got, like, 3 reviews in the U.S. Amazon store, and I feel bad. I'm like, oh, I'll help. I'll read it, and I'll see what I can do. But, Captain Winters, we did a thing called Super Washes that we were betaing. That Ed, again, got developed when I was gone already, so I didn't have a hand in those. And they were kind of toward that kind of market, but they got some feedback, and I know that they were going to maybe try to switch some stuff up, and I never heard from them. But then, of course, we lost Ed this past Thanksgiving. So right now, I'm not sure where those plans are, because Ed was he was our CEO for, pretty much since the beginning. And he was the real power, like, behind big, broad change stuff like that, like a new paint line, or consolidating other paint lines, or working with a license, things like that. So I'm not sure where those plans are now. I'm not sure if they'll go forward. I'm not sure where any of it is. So Yeah, exactly. Reaper Miniatures John is there. It's Ed's yeah. Yes. And that's the thing. When you Reaper, understand Reaper is a small company. Like when I started at Reaper, it was maybe 25 people, and it had gotten up to maybe 50 people by the time I left. But the people who are the idea people, the executor people, like the people in the who aren't just out on the floor and working day to day, like there are very few of those people. And one of those people has to make it their baby to like get these things pushed forward. Somebody's got to care about it. And Ed was always the person that cared about, he was always thinking about new ways and tactics and things that Reaper could do, right? He had a very strategic mind that way. And so since he was helming that project, somebody else is going to have to be passionate about it to push it through. So I don't think that that's the case with Twisted Oma. I do feel like ReaperCon would have gone on. Like I feel like the only exception would have been if ReaperCon had been like if Ed had passed 2 months before ReaperCon. But then of course you're already locked in, so it goes forward. Like ReaperCon is a thing. It's got momentum. It's got momentum at this point. And remember too that ReaperCon is the time of year where all the Reaper employees, or at least most of us, when I remember, we all get really excited and happy because we meet you guys and you tell us what an awesome job we're doing. And so even in the midst of like bereavement, that would be a great thing, right? Yes, it's a lot of stress. Yes, it's a lot of work on top of what you've got emotionally coming from another direction. But at the same time, it's also uplifting. So I don't think ReaperCon would have been canceled. Oh, yeah. Oh, Tom Meyer did it. Ooh. Oh, see. All right. Now I have to go. Now I have to freaking time to watch that video, Quindy. Seriously. Or I'll wait till it comes out. I assume it's going to come out. All right, Eaglehead, where are you going? You're going right here, I think. The beak feels good from the side. I do need to flesh out the head a lot. So, and I do need to pin it to the cork at this point so that I can start to work with it. So I need to drill and pin. We're spending a lot of little time like just situating this thing, guys. Sorry, but we are working to get all of our components in place, and I can sculpt the eagle head onto the rocks and make it look more like a sculpture. The other way to do this would have been to do it entirely in cosplay and to bake it. But I felt like having the armature under it would be good. And I could put cosplay over the top, but I'm more comfortable with green at that point, I think. Okay, cool, Kodiak. Awesome. Oh, it's a Reaper Mini. The swag things. And the swag thing will be available for sale at the show? Is that what I understand now? If you're still there, John? Like, I don't know how swag works these days. Because I have been out of it. I'm out of it, man. Totally out of it. All right, I'm going to drill into this. Let's see here. I think I'm going to drill in right behind there. Let's see. Don't need much. But I'm going to go right in there at the top of the head because it gives me the most area, and I've got kind of a flat spot there. And I'm just going to drill in with my pin vise to the cosplay. Swag bag, add registration with a 4-day pass. Can buy extra if you wish. Well, since I'm a guest, I don't have I have a 4-day pass, but it's a complimentary 4-day pass, so I don't know if it comes with that. That was always the question mark with artists. Is it like, do we get a swag thing? Do we not get a swag thing? We're not sure. But that's okay. I'll buy the swag thing if I have to. Or I'll buy the pieces separately. Oh, okay. Beauregate Collector's Box. You get swag. It's complimentary for the artist. Well, that's really nice. Super, John. Thanks. Thank you for answering questions. Is it okay if you're a disembodied beard when I introduce the show? We've been calling you the disembodied beard because Quindy's the disembodied hands. But if you would like to be something else, I can change your moniker. On tabletop events page, you make it a merch item and tie it to the badge. Oh, nice. Okay. Super. Super, super. And if you have no opinion about being a disembodied beard, that's okay too. So I'm going to make this a long pin, guys, so I can sink it way into the cork. Because the more length it's got in there, the more solid it's going to be. So it's a pretty long pin. This cork is soft. You're okay with a disembodied beard. Okay, cool. Both of the Ed Tribute minis are at the show only. I don't know what plans Ron and Jim from Dark Sword have for the tribute after ReaperCon. That's fair. But it will be at the show, so I can get some. We definitely have to paint. We painted the Kathy tribute. We definitely have to paint the Ed tribute. Even though Tom Meyer's eyeballs are always so tiny. But yeah, that's really cool. So I'm going to stick this pin in just to check the fit, and it fits, and it sits. If it sits, it fits. So that's good. Sweet. All right, well, cool. Now I know all the things. So I don't know all the things, but I know enough things. I think I was going in here. So I'm going to go there and see. It's not like I can't drill more than one hole in this cork. And usually you don't even have to drill it. Like, you press your pin vise in, it just goes in. So like, you can really peg. But because of that, you can see the cork is so soft. Seeing that's not good enough. So I might need to go up here and go back there. Sometimes you can just press the cork right in. Press the pin right in. There. There we go. All right. So I've got the start of an eagle head. God knows why I'm doing this. Because I just felt like I wanted to. All right, eagle head. We're going to make you look... Actually, it's griffin head. But it's not. It doesn't have ears yet. So it's not very griffin-y right now. Just looking at things that are getting in the way, like these little bits of stone. Uh-oh. Pin vise disassembled. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they are, but once I reinforce this with green stuff, we're going to be fine. It just helps to give it a little bit extra stability from getting hit from the side, right? But once I've sculpted, like, stuff onto it, it should be fine. I can also stuff that area between the head. There's a little bit of gap here. I'll stuff that with green as well. Yeah, okay, cool. We're moving right along here. Where is my green stuff? I know I brought it. There it is. I like griffins. Griffins were long my favorite mythological creature, actually. See, I keep thinking there was one more thing that I had, one more news item that I had, but not really. Just a note to those of you who are my betas ARC readers is that I'm going to be dropping you a note about how we're going to work. Kind of instructions. You're going to have two options for leaving a review. And essentially, if you leave the review before you buy a copy of the book, then I have verbiage you have to use per Amazon. And if you leave the review after you buy a copy of the book, then you're good. Amazon will put it as a verified review, and that's cool if you want to do it that way. I will also have a special offer for you guys to make it a little easier on that score. I cannot share publicly, but I will share privately via email. Okay, this extra green stuff can get out of here. Oh yeah, I know. The Griffon. Petit Griffon. I don't remember the rest of the name. Remember, I did dog shows from when I was very small. Pendrake. I used to have a 4-H dog project where we would memorize details about all the breeds in the AKC. Basset Griffon, isn't it? It's like the Petite something Basset Griffon. I don't remember. Yeah. PBGB. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's right. It's a PBGB. remember now from the dog shows. Okay, so we need an equal amount, more or less, of green. I've got a little extra blue, or a little extra yellow on that, so I think I can grab some more blue. There we are. All right. But yes, if you are going to buy a book, obviously I am happy. But I did want to make it a little easier for some of my reviewers who might not be full of cash and who might otherwise hesitate. So I've got a way to do it. I'll just have to share it with you guys privately. But yes, any sale is a sale that essentially makes my book go up in the rankings. This is why I say, like, even though I have no illusions that Amazon is not my friend, but at the same time, I will totally use their algorithms to my advantage. So any sale helps with my book ranking, and the higher my book ranking gets, the more Amazon will show my book to other people just for nothing, for free. So yeah, any sale is a good sale. I'm really looking forward. You know more about mythology than dog breeds, yes. Petite, it's like the... Yeah, I don't remember. Petite Basset Griffon something, and I just don't remember the last one. It's the PBGB is the correct, so it's something B, but I don't remember. Oh, Vandine, PBGV. Petit Griffon, okay, got it. I knew there was some weird French word on the end of that. All right, we've got our gooky green stuff, which is sticking to my hands like crazy. Always wash your hands after doing green, by the way, guys. Yeah, Vendine, you're right. Yay, dog people. Yeah, I'm actually really excited because I'm running Amazon ads and I'm also running promos on book 1 during this release. Plus I'm doing my usual, hey guys, the book is out. So I'm really excited about this release to see how it works. Because when you're running Amazon ads, doing promos like this is supposed to actually give you a little bit of an extra boost. So I have high hopes. I would love, last time when we released East of the Sun, I got to number 2 on new release coming of age fantasy. I would love to hit number 1 this time. Or maybe we did we were behind Wizard of Earthsea on the big list, that's right. Yeah, we hit number 2 on the big list behind Wizard of Earthsea. Like, that was our best showing. We were at rank 10,000 in the Amazon store. 10,000 out of 10 million books, or more, actually, these days. These days, the amounts of books are just skyrocketing. But yeah, so that was really, really good. Yeah, I didn't hit number 1 in the main. I hit number 1 in new releases. Yeah, we actually held that for a bit, but we never beat Ursula K. Le Guin. And well, if I did, I think I'd throw a little party because The Wizard of Earthsea is an iconic book that still sells for good reason. Yay, Ursula. Yeah, so there's 2 different lists, right? There's the new releases list, and then there's the general genre category list. And we did hit, I believe, number 2 in the genre category for a tiny bit of time before we got knocked out. But that was a high point. Like, that was a super high point. So we'll see. I don't know that my audience is big enough yet, so it just really depends on if the promos push book 1 high, and then if people essentially buy book 2, right, and read through. Yeah, I read it a long time ago. I would love for my autocorrect to give up. All right, so now let's get this green kind of stuffed underneath this head. And then we'll pop it back in. Actually, I can probably just stuff it in. Where's my sculpting tools? I must have sculpting tools. I don't know where I put everything. Who knows? Everything's around here somewhere. Ah, there we go. Wizard of Earthsea and Tombs of Atuan were the 2 that I read out of the Earthsea stuff. Oh, no. Oh, I forgot to... This is my error. I forgot to put water on my sculpting tool before I picked up the green stuff, and now it wants to stick to the sculpting tool. See, it got green on there. Fail. I'm too distracted. Hold on. Let me grab... Then I've got too big of an amount of green. So let's try that again, Anne. And I need plastic for my If I put my green on my porcelain palette, it's just going to be kind of dumb and stick to it. Sit, sit, stay, green, stay. It's so sticky, so sticky. Why did I want to do this? Quindy, so funny. It's like our autocorrects get tired. They're just like, enough, fine, spell it however you want to, see if I care. Here, let's put this glob in there. That's much better. Yes, it's amazing what using actual water will do. So I'm just stuffing some green in there. It's just going to help to stick the eagle head onto the thing. Or the griffin head. It'll be a griffin head once it has ears. For now, it's an eagle head. I'm going to just pop that. Pop that on. Yeah. Oh, autocomplete. Yeah, totally. All right, get that glob in there. Just want to kind of shore this up so it can be worked with. Getting some green on my plastic, which is really annoying, but I can scrape it off later. All right, and I have some water that got up here, which is unfortunate because it's going to impede stick-to-itiveness. But now I want to pick up a picture on my phone. Nope, and you won't, Bull. You won't see a difference ever unless you have really bad water. If you live in a place that's got really bad water or really old metal pipes where there's a lot of mineral deposits, then you might see some, you might see the paint do some weird things. But otherwise, you don't have to. I mean, my water here is pretty decent. I just use filtered just because all the water that I have is filtered. But, I mean, I've used tap water at my parents' place that was out of a well. And I've used water in lots of places, just the tap. And in most places, the water purity is good enough that it doesn't matter. But if you do live, like I had a friend who lived on Manhattan Island, the piping to his building was really old and metal pipes, and he used distilled because he's just, I can't. He's like he did really fine, perfect, flawless blending, and he was like, I can't afford to have the paint do anything weird at all, which was totally mood. I got it. So, but I think that most people overthink that. Like I feel like. I have to look up Golden Eagle. Photograph. There we go. Much better. Okay, there's my eagle. There's my nice eagle. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to see the texture of the feathers. Because the texture of the feathers is important here. All right, so I can work with this. I feel like I need to skinny the beak down a little bit maybe, but I can be close. I can be close. Man, that's a giant hook on the front of that bird's beak. Giant hook. Look at how big of a hook they've got. It's immense. This eagle is definitely ruffling his feathers, but that's good. Alrighty. All right, so I need to kind of look at this and figure out my tactics. I want to kind of see, it looks like the feathers coming off the front of the head are almost like hairs. Can you see? They're almost like hairs. They're so fine. So they come like that, and there's that part down the middle, just like with a hair, and it comes this way, and then it starts being big feathers. This is really good. This is a good photo. I think I want to save this, actually. I'm going to do a quick screenshot. So it really shows, this is what you want when you're doing something that's from nature. You want to be able to get down and really see the feathers. So you want something high res. That will tell you what kind of texture you want as you're sculpting this, right? So right away I can see that I probably need to make the brow a lot thicker And the eye socket actually goes almost all the way to the beak there. So this is a really good reference photo. Yeah. So this will help me correct, as I sculpt, this will help me correct some. I can also do some correction with the knife straight up to the armature, because as I get close to this head, I can see that this hollow in the eyes should be coming all the way up to the beak. So I could get in there and try to carve out that a little bit more. Like gouge it out so that, yeah, so that I can bring it way up. Because the eye socket's really oblong on this eagle. And it's okay if I take away a little bit too much material. I still want enough to be an armature. But I need it to... but I want it to be consistent. So there is some... oh, eagle. No, I don't want that. It's a good thing I took a screenshot of that one. Okay. Just got some evening up to do from one side of the head to the other. One side of the head is a little bit broader, so I'm just using my knife. I'm going to scrape this away. Using my knife to take off some of this material. It's a little bit, the head got a little broad on one side, but that's okay. I can chunk it down a little bit so that I have something better. This is still very flexible, but that's fine. Once the green cures and everything, it'll stick it together. Make sure that we continue to have it at the right angle. There we go. So I'm going to do some of the first bits of sculpting around the sides of the head. And then we'll see what we can do. And I think I will narrow down the bottom of this beak, because I can always bulk it up again, but I want it to be thinner. They don't have a huge lower jaw, so I'm essentially taking material off the bottom. Yeah, well, fine feathers look very much like hair. But it is important when you're doing like a detail like this, even though this is going to be like a stone sculpture, so it doesn't have to be that accurate, but I want to get the feather direction correct. Okay, so I chomped off a bunch of stuff. And I'm going to broaden out this head a lot. It's going to be really broad and going out onto the stone. I'm going to stick this green in here really well now, because I want it to be cure really well. All right, and now I think I can start. And the head's a little weebly still on this side, and I can carve it a little bit more. Hold on. So you can see where it is a little off center on this side. So I'm going to take down more material. Take off more material. And I'm just going to chunk it, because I can build it back up. Like, you want your armature to be in a position, there we go, to help you. My beak's a little off center, but I can fix that by coming in on it to the side. There. It's a little better. And again, as I'm adding material, I can fix some of this stuff as well. Which is why I'm working with green, honestly. I feel like I'm a little more confident with green on this. Yeah, I keep wishing we had more hawks in this neighborhood, because the mouse population is crazy. Mouse and rat population. There's so many bushes and shrubberies and things for them to hide in. They're all arboreal. The rats and mice here climb trees all the time. So I've only seen a hawk in our backyard once, and I kind of wonder, because there's a big rodent population. I would think that they would love it here, but there's also a lot of vegetation to screen, so it's probably not a great hunting ground for them. So I'm gonna again a lot of my green got kind of inside of there. I'm gonna go in and fill this hole again as I position the head. And as this cures again, it will glue the head onto the stone at the correct angle. Okay, well that's a decent armature, I think. Actually, I can take off a little bit more. Every time I think it's decent, I'm like, oh wait, I can take off a little bit more material on this side of the head. That's better. Yeah, okay. We'll rock that, and then we'll see what we can do. Now I'm going to make a big snake out of this remaining green. Speaking of snakes, I'll try to shift this exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to pop that green around it. So I kind of want to make a collar around the outside of the head with this green. Yeah, it's too enclosed, you're right, yeah. That's what most of the backyards out here are pretty small and have a lot of vegetation. So that's probably why we don't see hawks and why the rodents have such a field day. I ordered a baffle for my one bird feeder because the squirrel buster is immune. Like, no rodent can get onto the squirrel buster. I have watched. But the thistle feeder is a different. The mice, actually, I will watch them in the evening. At night before bed, if I go out there, I will see the little furry bodies crawling down. This is a really thin hook, right? That tree hook. Crawling down the, like, acrobats, the little hook, sitting on top of the thistle feeder, and then working their way down the sides so they can nibble at the seed. More vultures than hawks. Yeah, that was Texas. Although I did see a peregrine falcon in Denton once, and that just made my day. We have towering trees. We've got plenty of redwoods around here, Pendrake. But it's very, I think the close-in hunting, as was pointed out, is more the factor. They need to be able to see, and they need to be able to come down, to swoop down to make that hit, to get the rodent. And it's very close here because all these backyards are just so small and narrow, and there's overhanging trees a lot, or bushes and shrubbery. There's a lot of ways for rodents to escape, and it's a very difficult approach for a hawk. I'm pretty sure they know. Like, the hawks are like, there's all sorts of food over there, but it's too difficult. Yeah, owls are cool. But yeah, there's plenty of tall trees around here. Like, that's part of why, actually, we got a house in Mountain View instead of Sunnyvale. Sunnyvale, like, most of their trees went the way of the dodo a long time ago, I think. But here, it's very... There's a lot of trees in Mountain View. They preserved a lot. So there's actually quite a bit of decent tree. Although it is kind of funny when you, like... Because here where we are in the South Bay, it's just as likely that the tall tree you can see out your back window is a palm tree as opposed to a redwood. Like, it could be either. It's like palm trees on one hand and redwoods on the other. Oh no. I'm glad that the bird did not actually crash into your head. I love them, though. They're such cool falcons. So I'm just creating a collar here to, like, hold the head in position so that when it cures, it's going to be really solid. And I can continue building up. Then I can start sculpting feathers on it. So it's like we had a primary armature, Now we're going to have a secondary armature. I do need to press it down onto some of this stuff a little bit. It does like to not stick to cork a little bit, so I have to press it in. But yeah, it's funny. Even though I live in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of trees around us. There's a lot of vegetation. There's a wildlife preserve just a little ways north, right by Google. There's a huge preserve. Because it's right up here. Let me show you. Boop-a-doo. Let me get my thing. There. Let's see it. So here's where we are in the Bay Area. Actually, that's the place where I got married. But so you can see, like, my neighborhood's somewhere down here, but we are right next to the slough here, which feeds into San Francisco Bay. So there's like a big golf course here with lots of trees. There's a wetlands thing right up there. There's a lot of trails up here. And then if you zoom out, here is San Francisco. So we're down at the end here of the bay, nearer to San Jose. But all this water, and then look at all the mountains here. So there are a ton of hawks. Like, we're in this little, Silicon Valley is in this little narrow band of stuff and surrounded by like all sorts of wild areas or relatively wild areas. Obviously, like, there are towns here, but when you take this road up here, or you go out, like, there's a state park right there. There's a couple of them. But if you take this road down to Santa Cruz, like, there's just like a few little houses dotted along these trees, like, or a few big houses, I should say, because they're expensive, because they're like monsters. But yeah, and then you go down to Santa Cruz, which is that tiny little place right down there. So we're about 30 to 40 minutes outside of San Francisco, which is really nice. I was about 20 to 30 out of DFW. Wow. That's cool, Dogfather. Oh, right by a swamp. Yep. Fair amount of roadkill, yeah. Oh yeah, the vultures, for sure. Yeah, I saw a lot more vultures than hawks in Denton. That's why when I first came out here, I'm like, oh, a vulture. And David's like, what? That's a hawk. And I'm like, no, it isn't. Here's how you tell. He's like, but there aren't vultures here. I'm like, oh, yes, there are. And I looked it up. I'm like, yep. Yes, you do. You have the turkey vulture. Absolutely you do. I would recognize that silhouette anywhere after 17 years in Texas. And also I saw one on a walk. Sitting on, there must have been roadkill. There was a yard working truck. And maybe they had swept up something dead into all of the vegetation that they had just, were taking out for compost. Because there was a buzzard sitting right on the tailgate of the lawn working truck. The gardener. Yeah, right. He's oblivious. David is oblivious. But he doesn't notice these things. Like that's one of the things I do for David is I notice nature, like I notice details. So the other day, there was an amazing thing that happened. There was a funky rainbow. And it wasn't actually because it was raining, because they don't get rain in the summer here, almost never. But it was because there was actually mist in the air higher up. And so essentially on a bone dry day, with no rain whatsoever, but there were clouds, we actually had a rainbow during my walk. He would totally have missed it if I hadn't called him and said, go outside right now. See if I kept. The picture just doesn't do it justice because it doesn't really, let me see. There we go. So it started, you can see the bow of it. And that one, you can actually see all the colors. There's still the green and the blue. Sounds funky. Have fun, Inara. Oh, have fun, the DMV. Yeah. Hope it isn't too painful. And then later on, it actually turned into a full... And you can just see, there's no rain, but there's just these clouds. It's essentially the sun, and the sun was setting. So you got this really golden effect. It was crazy. It was like this evening rainbow. Just funky. There was a rainbow over my neighborhood. That's a very pinky orange. You can see how pinky orange the sunset was getting by the rainbow being very pinky orange. But yes, so it was funky. It was like a full rainbow. I was amazed. Yeah, it's like we don't see those. Like this climate, although it can be humid from time to time because we're by the bay, it's not like normally, like rainbows are rare out here. We get a lot of rain in the winter, but then it's cloudy, so you don't see a rainbow. There were people like running and shouting and running, and like kids running into their houses going, "It's a rainbow, it's a rainbow." It was funny. All right, so essentially I'm shoring this up. I'm going to give it a bit of a neck or a bit of a feather ruff here. So as we continue to build it out, we'll have something to build onto. And this will help it. And the fact that I painted over the cork down here does give it a little bit of something extra to stick to. But it's still sometimes a little bit resistant, so I have to press down and thin it out and make sure that it's sticking. So it's a little bit overhanging the base, but that's all right. I like the placement of it. It's going to be, you're going to be able to see it. It's going to add some interest even on this side because you can see the shield and then you can see the head a little bit better. And then when you get around to the back, then we can't see it. As we turn, we can see it off in that angle, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, it's good. And then I'll figure out if I'm going to put like a little burning brazier of coals there. But yeah, so obviously it's taking a while, and this is going to look like ass for a lot of it. You have to be afraid. You have to stop being afraid that something is going to look like ass. Pardon the profanity, family viewers. But yeah, when you, especially with sculpting, I've learned it's just, for me, it always looks like ass for the beginning. It always does. And then after I finally have like a solid foundation and I start to flesh it out, then suddenly it looks much better. It'll just like poof. It's just like you hit it with the ugly stick for the first part. Some minis are like that too. See, but I can see that it doesn't want to necessarily stick to the cosclay very well, the baked cosclay, which is interesting. It's something that I'll make a note of. But if I thin it out and tamp it down, it'll be okay. I'm going to put a little bit more underneath here, underneath the head, I think. Although I'm going to look at my profile, my eagle profile first. I want to see how the head comes off of the neck. Well, this guy, he's got a fringe of feathers. He's got a beard almost. But this guy's head is more like... So yeah, there are some little bit of feathers, roughly feathers coming off of there. But there, it definitely does... Like the neck does swell out. They're such beautiful birds. I love golden eagles so much. So yeah, so I've got to think about it like that. So if I'm looking at my profile of my bird... I'm going to be okay, but I do need to flesh out that area under the chin in kind of a smooth kind of gradient. Okay, good enough. Which means I need to mix more green. Oh, Luca. Yes, normally his presence does lead to swearing. I'm just going to try to make a small amount of green for this, and it'll probably backfire on me. I'll have not enough, or I'll have over. 2 little tiny little nuggets. Yeah, and I probably won't do any vegetation except for grasses on this base since it's going to be a snow base. And I think I'm going to use the Games Workshop texture snow because I really like it and I feel like I'll be able to control it on this. Oh, he's still streaming. Well, we invoke the spirit of Luca. I haven't dropped an F-bomb. Like, that's... So last night at CrossFit was almost nausea-inducing. Like, I forgot at some point, I forgot to take a deep, to keep taking deep breaths as I was doing it. And then I was like, I had to stop and I was like, oh, I need to breathe. Oh, did you? Oh no, Zechariah. Well, good luck. Yeah, yeah. Well, when you're doing... Oh my god. Okay, do people know what a wall ball is? A wall ball is when you're carrying a ball like this, and it's like 10 to 20 pounds. It was only 10 pounds in my case. And you have to squat really low, and then you go up and you throw the ball at a target on the wall. You catch the ball, the 10 to 20 pound ball, and then you do it again and again. Last night, we did 90 wall balls. 90. Imagine that. And then you understand why I forgot to breathe. Oh my god. 90. It was 15 wall balls, 12 dumbbell snaps. So that's bend over, grab your dumbbell, get it up over your head, put the dumbbell down, do it with the other arm. And then it was 9 ring, I forget what they call them, but it's not when you're pulling yourself up on the rings, but it's pushing yourself up. So the rings are right under your shoulders and you push up and kind of like do it that way. So 9 of those. So 15, 12, and 9. 6 sets in a row. 6 sets. Yeah, floppy noodles. That's exactly what I was at. I am amazed I am not more sore today. I guess it's just a testimony to all the work I've been putting in that I am not like on the floor, Everybody was on the floor after it too. Like even the super unfit people. It's that kind of workout. Holy crap. I'm hoping Saturday is a little bit easier because I have to do Saturdays for the next couple of weeks to make up the time off for ReaperCon. And then I have to do Saturdays for the next couple of weeks after ReaperCon to make time up again. Yeah, it was crazy. 90 wall balls. Like I was like 15 wall balls, that's not bad. And then my classmate pointed to the times 6 and I was like, holy crap. But hey guys, know what? I've lost 5 pounds and I've lost inches. Like I've lost when I measure everything because when you're weight training, you don't necessarily lose weight, you lose inches. So I've lost distance off of my arms and my waist, mostly arms and waist. Oh, and around my rib cage. Because I always do that kind of, rib cage measure. Because you get a lot of flab in here, right? You get a lot of flab around that area and around your back and over your ribs. So I always do a measure there. But yeah, so the CrossFit, and I feel stronger and just more fit generally than I haven't ever. Even when you're broken, I was pretty broken. I slowly worked my way up to this. Very, very slowly. All right, so now I want to fill in this area, and I want to blend into the beak, so that's what I'm doing right now. Painting badass. I bet I'd get more viewers. But I'd have to wear like a tank top and show my biceps all the time. Oh my god. Oh yeah. The diet. But those ideas, Quindy, they always pop up when it's least convenient. Like once it's after the con and you have all the time in the world, you're not going to be inspired to do that diorama. It's just last minute crazy crap that your brain is pulling on you. Although I'll tell you, I always wanted to be, like, when I was a kid, I knew this, like, ages ago. I wanted to be one of those fit women swinging swords. So, women with biceps and abs, like, I wanted to be that. Like, I've always kind of wanted to be in shape. But the biggest thing, I've pulled up some green, so I have to be careful now. But just putting that little bit of extra there, that's helping. The biggest thing, honestly, is the diet. Like, I was talking to one of our trainers. We have a husband and wife team that's our trainers. And I was talking to the wife last night, and I told her about the 5 pounds, and she was like, super awesome. You've only been doing this for less than 2 months. And I was like, yes. And then I told her I'd switched my diet, and she's like, diet is like 80% of it. Because I've been doing more protein. I've also been, you know what, guys? You know what, this one thing that I have learned is this has, taking on this whole, like, I'm doing CrossFit and I'm working so hard, so screw it, I'm going to try super hard to, like, lose the weight. The one thing this has done for me is to show me how much I lied to myself about my meal tracking. Like, seriously. Delusional. Seriously delusional. Because when I got super hardcore and started really tracking what I was doing, there was all this hidden mass in my diet. Yeah, it is. Diet is like, you don't exercise to lose weight. You diet, you change your diet to lose weight. And then the exercise helps you keep it off because your muscle mass is going to raise your metabolism. Right. Oh, I see. If you decide to go to the... That's right, because you last minute decide to go, right, Quindy? Yeah, totally. I get it. I wouldn't mind abs at all. I don't know if I'm going to want to get that cut, because that is a little more work, but I mean, man, I was just like doing things like double checking the nutrition facts on my Fitbit app. Turns out that chicken thighs actually have more calories, like the entry on my app is actually wrong. Which I only noticed when we switched back to chicken breast to get a leaner protein. And I'm like, wait, chicken breast can't have more calories than chicken thigh. So I double checked it. And it turns out I've probably lost 100 to 150 calories right there. Like I was eating an extra 100 to 150 calories a day just from that one error on the app. There we go. So now we've got more of a profile. See, now that we've fit that in, so now we can start to see the eagle. But yeah, just learning, getting down and dirty serious with myself about, no, let's sit down and actually figure out how much we're eating, right? Because there were other things we were doing, like in the evening, we just put the drizzly oil onto the Brussels sprouts or the asparagus or whatever. We weren't actually tracking how much oil we were using. Now I'm like, David, we have to start tracking. And to his credit, my husband is a wonderful man who wants to support me. And so even though it's a pain in the butt, he tracks now. He's like, how much oil am I supposed to be using on this? Like, it makes such a huge difference to have someone in your life who's like, all right, I'm in for this, right? Even if they aren't doing the diet, they understand that it's important to you, and so they help, right? But yeah, we were probably adding an extra 100 calories of fat in with the oil on the Brussels sprouts or vegetables or whatever we were doing. I was probably eating 200 to 300 calories at least over what I thought I was eating per day. So like once that was fixed, then suddenly I started seeing progress. That and also just going more protein, less fat, because I'm moving away from the keto type of thing now. There we go. So see how the profile looks better now, guys? Looks more eagly. So I still need to maybe cut up that little bit there. But we can definitely see it now. Now that I've filled in the throat and we've got it kind of going into the rock, you can kind of see that it is actually an eagle, not just some big chicken. Crazy doing triathlons, but still support you. Yeah, well, but if you love it. Yeah, well, you know, when you've got a lot of stress, like, yeah, then sometimes you just have to say, oh, well, because you have to, like, de-stress, because stress is also bad for you. Stress is the killer. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the stress eating is what is probably getting you even more than that, Richard. Yeah. Yeah, I thought for a long time that I couldn't actually lose weight without exercise as well. But in reality, I just wasn't willing to eat as little as I would have had to. Because exercise helps you burn more calories, right? It gives you more of a deficit. So. But yeah, I've felt that. Totally feel it. All right, so we've got our... Now we can start, like, figuring in, like, getting the brow in. Next time we can start moving the feather texture in. We can start getting the eye socket figured out. We can add actual feathers. Just going to double check one more time that I've got the angle I want. I think it's going to be fine. Even if the green pops off the rock a little bit, that's actually fine, guys, because what we can do is, after the green is cured, we can put a thread of super glue along there, and capillary action is just going to pull it right in. Keto is high fat, moderate protein, Pendrake, but when I decided to add protein to my diet, because I wasn't getting enough protein for bodybuilding, essentially, it wasn't for weight training, I couldn't like cut carbs and reduce them with protein and replace them with protein because I eat really few carbs. So I had to cut some of my fat and replace it with protein. So my macros now are looking a lot more like, instead of like 60 to 70% fat and 25 protein and 10 carbs or whatever the heck I was doing, now my macros look more like 40% fat, 40% protein, 20% carbs. But some people do what's called the carnivore diet, which is like really high protein with some fat and very few carbs. But yeah. So now we have like the eagle is starting to look like an eagle. So I'm pretty happy about this. It's good stuff. But yeah, so I do see that when I repositioned it, it broke away just a little bit. Here, let me show you guys. It always wants to focus on the background, even though the background is weak sauce. Come on. All right. Yeah, it's definitely an eagle now. It's getting there. But you can see just a little bit of crack away. See how it's coming away from the cork a little? But again, that's okay. Once it cures, it's still going to be in the shape that sticks to the cork, right? It's going to be in the right shape. So when I put that little thread of super glue in there, it's going to slurp right in and glue it down. And this is where putting the paint down first over the cork is important, because if you just have the cork, then the cork's just going to absorb that super glue like crazy. But if you, now that we've covered it with this, we're essentially putting a layer of like a latex polymer over the top of the cork, and that's going to seal it a little bit. Two layers would have been better, but this will be enough for us to put that glue in and actually have it, bond it, not all of it gets sucked into the cork. So yeah, and this is what I mean, guys, with sculpting. I was scared of sculpting for a long time, but what you got to realize is that you have time. You have time to work. All of these are soft. They can all be carved. If you screw it up, you can carve away bits and resculpt them. I realized at one point that if I just went slow and I used a reference, that I was going to be okay. Because I could just double check, and like this green stayed good for an hour. It's still good. I could still work with it. So if you just go slow and take your time with each little, even if you're just sculpting one tiny piece at a time, you've got an hour or more to mess with it, and like you'll be able to get something in place. And even if you only make little tiny steps toward what you want every time you sit down, like I said, you can always fix it. You can always carve away parts of it. You can add parts to it until you have what you want. So yeah, and like I said, I might put a little, like a little brazier, a little flaming brazier atop its head. like to show this is like a, you know, a watch point for where she is. Yeah, let things set up if you're struggling. You can always carve them off and then redo them. It's really, really easy. So I think I like this. I think it's good. The eagle head is actually perpendicular with the base. It's a little bit, she's tilted, so it's making the eagle head look tilted, but the eagle head is actually level with the base. So she's just a little bit inclined. So that's good. So now I have to sit that down and let it cure. Let my eagle head cure. Yeah, well, Bryce is B. Kokenar is a very, very good sculptor. He can watch my little amateur efforts. This is amateur hour. I always say that when Bob and Julie are on here too, Bryce. It's amateur hour here with the green work. Oh, John did not say that Reaperland would not be on, so he should be on at 3 p.m. Central. Awesome. Awesome blossom. Sweet. All right, folks. Well, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for, like, chattering about all the stuff. It's great. And I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for your time and your eyeballs. Yeah. And thanks for the encouragement with my writing and everything. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I do great. Green users, yay! Green users make me nervous, too. We love you, Julie and Bob. We love you. Yeah. Oh, Kiki says, it's walk time. Kiki, can you bark again? Sneak. Sneak. She's just wagging. All right. Whenever I get excited, she just wants to join in. She's just that dog. All right. All right, you guys. We will be back. We'll be back on Monday. I will be streaming this weekend, I think. At least an hour. We'll do at least an hour on Mr. Orc. It's this guy, the comic book guy, which we're actually, he's coming along really well. I'm really liking him a lot. So I think we're probably work on the pec here. I'm almost terrified to try the shoulder because I love how the shoulder looks right now, but I will do my best. So yeah, he's looking great. There's some stuff I need to do on him, but yeah. So working on the comic book style orc. We'll be doing that Saturday, 3:30 USA Central Time, at least for an hour. But I need to, now that I've got all the edits done, I finished my read-through. On my paperback version of my book. So I've got all my editing notes. I've got all my readers' editing notes. I've got my proofreaders' editing notes. Those came through yesterday. So this weekend, the book is getting done. The book is getting edited. And then it's going to be ready to go. Then a bunch of stuff I have to do this coming week is my website and all that kind of thing. But yes, painting really big. Yeah, he's a monster. That's the Orc Berserker from Black Sun Bryce. But I love him. He's such a good sculpt. It's going to take me forever. I'll bring him to ReaperCon. Because he'll be my work on at the con project because I really like him. The final version of the book. Yes, now that I have all of you guys' notes. Now I have to integrate all of that. And as I integrate it, I have to double check each part for typos. I'm sure there'll be more typos. I'll have people catching them later, like I did on this one. All right, folks. I will see you all. Otherwise, I will see you all Monday. Monday, we'll be working on Angry Link. Yay for Angry Link. We'll probably keep working on the shield. All right? Thank you. Thanks, Quindy, for hurting the cats. Bye.